Hey everyone, Mitch coming in from the Commander Score Studio. Welcome to the show. So on today's episode, I've got some new commanders for you that are kill on-site commanders. That's right. If you don't deal with them right away, they will deal with you right away. These commanders are so deadly, the entire table should be on high alert when you see that player sit down with this commander. Now, I will say that I think this is the third episode that I've done on kill on-site commanders. The previous ones I've done were actually quite some time ago. I think the most recent one was about a year ago, so obviously this is an updated list from then. New commanders since that last episode. So with all that said, let's jump into it, and we're going to start things off with a new one. Gandalf the White. Yeah, I believe this is a kill on-site commander. This is a commander that has so much potential. It is scary. A 4/5 flash avatar wizard that costs 3 white. You may cast legendary spells and artifact spells as though they had flash. If a legendary permanent or artifact entering the battlefield or leaving the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers additional time. So the problem with this one is that, well, even if it is a kill on-site commander, and even if you are prepared for it, you might not be prepared enough, because again, this not only has flash speed, but it also gives your artifacts and legendary cards flash speed as well. I mean, more importantly, between legendary and artifact, more likely in the more broken way, it's going to be artifacts that you need to really worry about. But yeah, there are definitely a lot of crazy, brutal, and broken things that you can do with this one. And on top of that, hey, if a legendary permanent or an artifact entering or leaving the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, triggers additional time, basically doubling up ETBs and LTBs for, again, artifacts and legendary things that you have. Yeah, gross. A Panharmonicon, Death Harmonicon commander, flash speed, craziness. Again, even if you are prepared, even if you're on high alert, if you don't have, like, say, a counter spell and you've got, like, a kill spell on Gandalf, that might not be enough. Your opponent's gonna be like, oh, cool, yeah, you tried to kill Gandalf, cool. Yeah, in response, I'll flash in this artifact, flash in this artifact, flash in this artifact, do all these crazy things, maybe even go infinite. I mean, just name a few cards with this one. Ancestral Statue, a great card again. It is not legendary, obviously, just a simple golem, but it is an artifact. 3/4 golem, ETBs, returning an online permanent you control to its owner's hand. Again, that might seem like a downside, but that's actually an upside in many ways. And obviously, you get to double up that ETB. So you get to bring something else back to your hand, which, yeah, it could be something like, say, a Soul Ring. And maybe if you've got, you know, this costing 0, because of course there are plenty of ways to reduce the cost of your artifacts, like, hey, simple example. The reason artifacts can be so deadly is that most of them have a generic mana cost. So you can essentially just reduce that down to nothing. Sample can reduce it down by 2. When it ETBs, basically exile an online card from your hand. Cool, spells you cost your type with it. Cost 2 less to cast. Awesome. So basically, yeah, you are going to be able to say, you know what? Yeah, in such statue, let's have you cost 0 at a certain point. Let's just cast you again and again and again. Soul Ring, infinite mana. Again, even if you're prepared, it's going to be hard to stop you. And, of course, even legendary creatures, legendary permanents can help you out as well. I mean, a great one's going to be like Oswald for an artifact deck. Pay a white, tap, sacrifice an artifact, go get any artifact that costs 1 more than that, essentially get right into play. Yeah, set yourself up for those crazy, crazy combos. Overall, Gandalf the White, again, even if you're not comboing, is a very, very good, very, very powerful commander. Again, flash speed, artifacts, and legendaries if you want them. Doubling up ETBs, doubling up LTBs, definitely, in my opinion, a kill on-site commander that you need to be aware of and you need to be very, very scared of. Moving on, another one from Lord of the Rings. We've got Farmer Cotton. Okay, here we go. So this one, again, the character itself, you're like, that can't be that scary, right? Oh my gosh, it does. What? A 1/1 halfling peasant for X green white. ETBs, you make X halflings and X food tokens. 2 tokens for the price of 1 mana. Gross. So yeah, there's a ton of crazy things that you can do. This is like the perfectly deadly color combination when it comes to this kind of a commander, these kinds of effects that you can really take and use and abuse because, well, hey, yeah, parallel lives. You have the ability with, you know, this card, New Procession, Doubling Season, a lot of cards to double up your token production. So again, you're already incredibly efficient with this commander. Again, making 2 tokens for the price of 1. Now you're making double that amount. Of course, you've got even more of these effects. You know, it doubles, triples, quadruples, whatever it is, making an absurd amount. In fact, we put 1 or more tokens on the battlefield in your control, it doubles it. Twice as many instead. Again, plenty of effects like this. So yeah, you pay mana that X, you make twice as many. What are you going to do with those tokens? I mean, yeah, it's just food, right? Oh, it's just oh, it's just halflings, just 1/1s. That really doesn't matter what they are. The fact that you're making an absurd amount of tokens is all that really matters because, yeah, you got things like, well, Quark Clan Ironworks. Hey, sacrifice an artifact, you get 2 mana. So all those food tokens now essentially are like, oh, cool, yeah, you got these food tokens in play, 2 mana each. So again, you're putting 1 mana into that X to make a single food token. You're getting 2 mana back out of that. And again, if you've got parallel lives, things like that, that double that up, hey, you're going to get even more mana out of that. I mean, you got that. You got Ashnod's Altar. You got, of course, Phyrexian Altar for those creatures as well. Again, of course, you can sacrifice food tokens. You sacrifice the creatures for mana too. Phyrexian Altar, sacrifice a creature, add 1 mana of any color. And, of course, you have this combination with, like, Teamer's Sabertooth. That's infinite mana, essentially. Infinite tokens, infinite life, infinite... Yeah, you basically just win. There's tons of different avenues to go infinite with this commander in some many gross ways. Yeah, overall, just a very, very, very scary commander. Again, kind of in the perfect color combination to be just as scary as it is. And again, kind of like I said with Gandalf, this is one of those commanders that, like, even if you have a kill spell, that might not be enough, right? That might not save you. That might not stop you. You're going to have to try to get rid of those other key pieces to try to stop this player. But again, there's a lot of kind of repeatable pieces, a lot of different replacement pieces. Again, parallel lives, no possession. There's a lot of different iterations of that. So, yeah, this is a commander to be reckoned with. It is one that you probably need a counterspell to be stopping once that player is set up correctly. So, yeah, Farmer Cotton, definitely one to be feared and definitely a kill on sight commander. Moving on, a kill on sight commander for a different reason. Bilbo Birthday Celebrant. This one is, well, if it's just in play, you know, early on in the game, not all that scary, right? Bilbo, an Abzan commander, a 2/3 halfling rogue. If you would gain life, you gain that much life +1. I mean, we've seen other effects like that on other creatures, and yeah, that's nice. That's not overly powerful. What is powerful, though, and what makes this a kill on sight commander is that next part. Pay 2 and Abzan, tap, exile Bilbo, search life for any number of creature cards from the battlefield, then shuffle, activate only if you have 111 or more life. Yeah, that's frightening because basically once you get to that amount, and yes, it does take some time potentially to get to that amount, though that being said, there are plenty of ways to gain life in these colors, and there are ways to, well, even just double up your life out of nowhere. So, do that. Get to 111 life or more. Obviously, if you double, it'd have to be an even number, but still, you know what I mean. Get to that, activate, and basically it's a commander that just basically is like, hey, just activate and win. If you activate this commander, and if you got your deck built properly, or even if you don't even build it around this, you probably just win. Getting every single creature out of your library right into play, that is an easy win con. I mean, even if you just have, say, Gary in the deck, Grey Merchant of Asphodel, that ETB is probably just going to win you the game. 2/4 zombie, ETB, opponent loses X life for X your devotion to black. You gain life, your life lost this way. If you get every single one of your creatures out of your library into play, your devotion is going to be an absurd amount. Probably enough to take out all of your opponents. I mean, especially in combination with other things that you might just randomly throw into play as well. Like, I mean, Veto, Thorn of the Dust Grows. This one says whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life. Again, you're going to be gaining an absurd amount of life in combination with other things. Like, you know, Gary comes into play. Cool, I just gained a ton of life. Cool, I drain that opponent out. They're gone. And you've got, like, Dina, Soul Steeper, you know, those other kind of creatures that are like, hey, you gain life, we drain all opponents. So many different instances of life gain can happen. I mean, even something as simple as Healer of the Pride, which is a crazy good card with this commander. Whenever another creature in his battlefield under control, you gain 2 life. Hey, you're getting all these creatures to ETB, and you say, okay, 40 creatures come into play, maybe even more. Cool, 40 creatures come into play, you're gaining 80 life. That's 40 different instances of that. Plus, so you're also going to gain the 40 extra life from your commander on all those. That's gaining 120 life. Again, in combination with, like, Veto, that's drained every opponent for another 40. Yeah, I mean, it's an absurd, just easy win con, essentially, just to say, okay, as soon as I get this commander out, activate win. So yeah, if Bilbo is on the field and this player is anywhere near 111 life, take Bilbo out. You need to, or you lose. So yeah, Bilbo, in my opinion, is definitely a kill on sight commander. But now let's move back to March of the Machine, which seems like such a long time ago now. But March of the Machine, I believe the commander precons is where Shalai and Halar is from. A 3/3 Angel Elf for 1 and Naya, Flying Vigilance. Whenever 1 or more +1 counters are upon a creature you control, Shalai and Halar deal that much damage to target opponent. There are so many ways to easily go infinite with this. It's just not even difficult at all. Even if you're not going infinite with this, there's like a lot of ways also to just say, oh yeah, I've got a lot of creature tokens in play or whatnot, or I went wide. I've got a ton of creatures in play. You're in colors to do that very easily. When you do that and you're like, oh, I just play this fun, simple spell that puts a counter on each of my creatures. You got like 10 creatures in play, that's like 10 damage, however you want to do it. And of course, there's ways to double up counters. There's ways to double up and even triple up damage. Yeah, this is absurd. This is an absurd commander. And like I mentioned, easy combos, very simple and easy combos that are just like, hey, you just need to get a creature into play and you essentially win. And there's plenty of ways to tutor for creatures in these colors too. So yeah, the Red Terror, easy peasy, 4/3, Tyrannid. Whenever a red source you control deals damage to one of your opponents and or opponent players, put a counter on the Red Terror. Easy combo. Essentially, you just get one counter on anything. I mean, you just deal a counter, essentially. You deal a counter. You deal a damage with Shaline Halar. That's all you need to do. Again, it is a red source. You fly through, you hit an opponent. Cool, that just starts it off. This gets a counter on it. Shaline's like, cool, ping opponent. Red Terror's like, cool, I get a counter on me. Ping opponent. Essentially, infinite damage to your opponents. I mean, yes, not infinite. As I'm saying infinite in these, episodes, essentially. What I mean is like, hey, enough to win. So, infinite damage. Infinite counters on this. Cool. You win. Again, and that's just one of the combinations. I mean, another one. Heliod Suncrown. Basically, that plus infinite life now, too. Indestructible 5/5. Devotion, whatever. Whenever you gain life, you get a counter on one target creature or enchantment you control. Pay 1 in a white. Another target creature gains lifelink until end of turn. Again, basically, all you need to do is say, oh, okay, I'll get a counter on my commander by giving it lifelink, swinging, whatever you want to do with that. Gain life, get a counter on your commander, ping, get a counter, ping, get a counter, ping, because you are gaining life now every single time you're doing that thanks to that lifelink. Yeah, infinite life, infinite damage. Again, plenty of ways to go infinite. I mean, even again, just like Loyal Guardian, a very simple, very awesome, very effective card in a counters build. Beginning of combat on your turn, if you control your commander, you get a counter each creature you control. Again, if you got 10 creatures, cool. That's 10 counters. That's 10 damage. You got Hardened Scales in play that doubles that because you're getting an extra counter on each of them. Then also, hey, if you've got, other effects like, damage doubling, damage tripling, gross. Shaline Halar is just an absurdly gross commander. One that, again, if you see it, you need to take it out because you could very easily just lose with the next play. That player plays something that combos with it. That player displays a giant, get a ton of counters on all your thing spells. Yeah, that is just an absurd commander. One that really needs to be considered when it comes to killing on sight right away. Next up, though, let's move on to Unctus Grand Meditech. Yeah, these kill on sight commanders are just absolutely gross. And this one is just so simply gross. It's a 2/4 Phyrexian Prater that costs 1 blue. Other blue creatures you control have. Whenever this creature comes tapped, draw a card, discard a card. Looting. Looting is so powerful with this commander, and it is so easy to do. This giving it to all your blue creatures is just absurd. On top of that, sure, you got an Anthem for your artifacts. Who cares? Pay a Phyrexian blue until end of turn, target creature control becomes a blue artifact dish to other types. Colors and types activate on sorcery. So sure, if you need to do that, great. You probably don't, but that actually comes with something else too. I mean, this commander just has, again, the potential to very early, very easily, very often just win the game, like turn 3. You can very easily do that with like a Phaedo Alchemist. A 1/2 wizard for 1 in a blue. Tap on tap target artifact or creature. Note that this does not say another creature, just any creature. So you can tap this to untap itself. And then you do that again and again and again. Every single time you do that when you have Unctus in play, you are looting. So you can dig through your entire deck. So if you've got something that maybe, drains your opponents whenever you draw cards. If you've got ways to double up your card draw, you actually have card advantage now, not just card selection. If you've got Lab Maniac, or Fast Zoracle, or that one Jace, Wielder of Mysteries, I think it is. Hey, you win the game for not having a library. There's tons of ways when you go infinite with something very easily like this to do that. And yeah, sure, there's only so many ways to have creatures that actually can untap themselves. There are actually a couple of them that can do that. On top of that, though, Vizier of Tumbling Sands. A simple one like this, a 1 for human cleric that can tap to untap another target permanent. There are an absurd amount of cards like this. There are an absurd amount of tap creatures that can untap another creature. And yeah, all you need is 2 of them in play, and they can untap each other infinitely again. Infinite looting. Very simple, very easy, very effective. A lot of ways to win against Psychosis Crawler, etc., etc. Tons of ways to win with that. You could also, again, win with that other activated ability, though. Pay a Phyrexian blue. There is no limit to, like, hey, activate as a sorcery. Only activate on your turn. Only activate, like, once. There's no limit. Actually, sorry, there is activate as a sorcery. I forgot about that. Regardless, there's no limit when it comes to the number of activations that you can have. You can keep targeting even just Unctus itself. It doesn't matter if it's already an artifact or a blue creature, whatever. It doesn't matter. All that matters is, hey, pay that as many times as you want. You're down to, say, 1 life, and then you're like, oh, cool, Soul Conduit. Yeah, pay 6, tap, 2 target players exchange life totals. Oh, I'm up to 40. You're down to 1. Plenty of ways to take a player out from there. So yeah, even that very janky kind of activation can help you win a game. Yeah, Unctus is just gross. It is low to the ground. It combos in so many different ways. And yeah, you can just, once you kind of get that combo piece out, again, a Phaedo Alchemist, you can dig down into your deck for the other piece that will just win you the game. Again, whether that's Slab Maniac, that's Oracle, whatever it is, you can win the game in a lot of ways with this. So yeah, definitely a kill on-site commander. It needs to be dealt with. Moving on, we've got a Phyrexian, this time a Ferrexian Prater with Elesh Norn, Mother of Machines. A 4/7 Phyrexian Prater Vigilance for 5 mana in total. If a permanent entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability, a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers additional time, and permanents entering the battlefield don't cause the abilities of permanents your opponents control to trigger. So first up, Panharmonicon for all of your permanents in the command zone. Gross. On top of that, basically Torpor Orb for all of your opponents. Just your opponents, though. This shuts down all of their ETBs. That is gross. That is kind of mean. And that is, yeah, very powerful. Very kill on sight. Especially, again, if you've got a deck built around ETBs, if you've got a Blink deck, if you've got, you know, an ETB trigger deck, you need to deal with this or your deck is just shut down. You cannot do basically anything until this is dealt with. So yeah, kill on sight for that reason. Also kill on sight because, again, a Panharmonicon in the command zone is a very gross thing that can be very easily used and abused. A very, very, very powerful thing. I mean, just think about, like, in an ETB, like Karmic Guide. ETB, return target creature card from your grave to the battlefield. This twice is crazy. I mean, this once is so good. This twice is crazy. And of course, there's so many different combinations that you can go. I mean, this plus Revelar plus other things as well. Sacrifice outlets. You can go infinite in certain ways already just with Karmic Guide. But yeah, doubling that up so now you're getting an extra creature into play as well. Gross. I mean, this plus Sun Titan as well. Just keep all that in mind. Again, ETBs that you can really use and abuse. And of course, in mono white, yeah, there are so many ways to use and abuse ETBs. Ephemerate, a single white mana. Blink a creature that you control. Cool. Goes away, comes back. Get 2 ETBs out of it again. Get that value. Again, if it's Karmic Guide, that's basically a double reanimation for a single white mana. But it's not even stopping there because this rebounds, goes away, and essentially you get to recast it on your next upkeep for free. So again, there you go. Get that creature again. Get that ETB again. Double up those ETBs, and even a free ETB like Teleportation Circle every single turn. Give your end step exile up to 1 target artifact or creature control. Turn that card to the battlefield under its own control again. Elesh Norn does not just double up ETBs of your creatures. Anything that you have, it is going to double up. That includes anything. And lands, creatures, planeswalkers, whatever it is. Double up everything. This Conjurer's Closet, those kinds of repeatable effects can be incredible. Yeah, overall, again, a kill on sight commander for multiple reasons. Kill on sight because, again, doubling up ETBs is absurdly powerful. Panharmonica, the command zone, is so powerful. And on top of that, of course, yeah, if you've got an ETB deck, if you've got even just, you know, certain ETBs in your deck that you really depend on, hey, you need to deal with it or you're not getting those. So yeah, Elesh Norn, in my opinion, definitely a kill on sight commander. Next up, we've got yet another Praetor that is a kill on sight commander with Sheoldred the Apocalypse. Yeah, some of these new Praetors are just absolutely gross. A 4/5 Phyrexian Prater that costs 4 mana total. Death Touch. Whenever you draw a card, you gain 2 life. When an opponent draws a card, the opposite happens. They lose 2 life. Okay, so this commander, again, benefits you for something you already want to do. You want to draw cards in commander, typically. You want to have a large hand size in commander. When it comes to your opponents, they want to do the exact same. Unfortunately for them, they're going to be very, 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 very punished whenever they do. 2 life per card is absurd, and life totals can drop in absolutely no time. Again, their life totals drop, your goes up. And of course, there's more and more ways to make the punishing effect even greater. I mean, like the OG of these, or one of the original ones, is like Underworld Dreams. Hey, whenever opponent draws a card, 1 damage to that player. So now on top of what you're already doing to that player for drawing cards, essentially now it's a lightning bolt worth of damage to them. I mean, damage plus life loss, you know what I mean. Basically, a lightning bolt worth of life loss, 3 in total every single time they just draw a card. That is absurd. That is gross. I mean, at least it's just going to be 3 each turn, right? Because they're going to be drawing during their draw step. But of course, there are plenty of ways to force that draw as well. And on top of that, on the reverse side of things, again, you're going to be gaining a ton of life. You're incentivized to draw a ton of cards. Sanguine Bond, a great card with this commander. Whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life. This veto, those kinds of effects are like, hey, you know what? My gain is your loss. I will draw a ton of cards. I will gain a ton of life. I will drain you out even quicker. And yeah, there are certain combinations as well with this commander. Peer into the Abyss, a gross card with this commander. Targeted player draws cards equal to half that player, half the number of cards in the library, loses half their life round up each time. That player is going to be gone. They are just gone. If you do this to a player, they are gone. They say, oh yeah, I just drew 40 cards. Oh, you just lost 80 life on top of losing, you know, half your life to start. This is a one-shot KO basically on any player. Absolutely gross. And you can even just target yourself with it and still probably take a player out. Again, if you've got like Veto or Sanguine Bond in play, gain a ton of life with this. Yeah, you lose some life, but you're also going to be gaining a ton of life. Draw a ton of cards. Have fun. Yeah, Shieldred, a gross commander. Luckily, there aren't too many wheels in mono black, but still an absolutely gross commander. And definitely, in my opinion, one that needs to be killed on sight, or you will be taken out. Next up, we've got Joda the Unifier. Legendary creatures are just getting better and better and better each set. I mean, I should say legendary tribal decks are getting better and better each set because we keep getting more and more legendary creatures. An absurd amount. I think in Lord of the Rings, we got like 85 in the main set and like 36 in the precons. Absurd. Joda Unifier, a 5-color, 5/5 human wizard. Legendary creature you control, get +X for X the number of legendary creatures you control. Would already be a very good commander, but it's got more, of course. Whenever you cast a legendary spell from your hand, exile card to the top of your library until you exile a legendary non-land card lesser mana value. You may cast a card with paying its mana cost, but the rest of them your library in random order. Basically, legendary Cascade Tribal. Gross. Yeah, there's a ton of good legendaries out there. Legendary permanents, legendary spells, legendary things that you can do. Again, every single set we get more and more and more, and Joda just keeps getting more and more great options, and the options are just absurd. Again, Joda is a giant pump effect that also says, you know what, just get free value. You cast a legendary spell that costs like 6, cool, you might hit something that costs 5 off the top, cast it for free, and yeah, just double up your value essentially. I mean, a ton of great legendaries. I mean, Joya Weather Captain, a great one with this kind of a build. Whenever you cast a historic spell, draw a card. Of course, that counts artifacts and sagas, but also more importantly with this commander, legendaries. So every single time you cast a legendary spell, you are drawing a card, and that counts the spell that you're casting from your hand and also the one that you cascade into. So basically, draw 2 every single time you cast 1 spell from your hand. Gross. And you might just, cascade into this for free value. Moving on, Heroes Podium. I mean, hey, you know what's better than 1 pump effect for your legendary creatures? Well, let's just double that up. 2 pump effects. Heroes Podium, legendary artifact. Each legendary creature you control gets +1/+1 for each other legendary creature you control. Basically, second Joda for that. On top of that, this can give you some card advantage as well. Kind of like card selection advantage. Pay X, tap, look at the top X card of your library. Reveal a legendary creature card from among them, put in your hand. Rest of them on your library in a random order. Again, if your deck is focused on legendary creatures, yeah, you're going to be able to hit a lot of them off the top. With this, get in your hand, cast it, get even more value off the top of your library, double up your pump effect, your creatures become absurdly large, and yeah, you're getting more and more cards lately. I mean, even just a simple one like Flowering of the White Tree can be a great one, a low-cost card so you can cascade into this, even with something that costs 3, essentially. Legendary creatures you control get +2/+1 of Ward 1, and non-legendaries get +1/+1. This is an incredible Anthem effect, and one that also protects your legendaries to +2/+1 and Ward 1 for all your creatures, essentially, on top of all the other pump effects that you have. Absurd. Yeah, this commander is just pretty gross. Again, you've got access to all the legendaries, and you keep getting more and more and more and more and more great options every single set. Definitely a kill on sight commander. Moving on, one that can get so out of control if it's not dealt with, it is going to be impossible to stop. Ivy, Gleeful Spell Thief, a 2/1 fairy rogue with flying. Whenever a player casts a spell that targets only a single creature other than Ivy, you may copy that spell. The copy targets Ivy. There's a couple different directions you can go with this commander, but things can get really absurd in a certain direction. And then things get a little complex, and then it becomes really, really hard to stop again because things snowball so quickly. Because again, when anyone casts any spell targets a creature, even if it just benefits their creature usually, that's going to benefit yours. But yeah, you're going to be building certain spells that can really work with this. Irenicus' Vile Duplication. Hey, let's make a copy of, well, something else, but also a copy of Ivy. Because you're going to create tokens copy of target creature control, except the token has flying and isn't legendary if the creature is legendary. So now you've got a non-legendary token copy of Ivy. Of course, you've got other ways to maybe duplicate that, get even more token copies. And now when you're casting any spell that doesn't target any of your Ivies, that spell also targets all of your Ivies. So again, like single mana cantrip spells are like now draw 5+ cards or whatnot. At the very least, again, draw 2 cards, draw 3 cards essentially. Absolutely crazy. And yeah, when you're copying things, you might as well copy them even further with Twinning Staff. If you would copy a spell 1 or more times, instead copy that many times plus additional time. You can also pay 7 to tap and copy a spell. Yeah, just getting extra free value whenever you're casting spells. Or again, whenever anyone is casting a spell that targets a creature other than Ivy, you're like, yeah, do I want to copy that? Sure, cool, I'll get an extra copy of it too. Absolutely absurd. And then also keep in mind, you can also utilize like Mutate too in a very strange way because it does target 4/4 Beast with Gem Razor. Mutate for 1 green. Again, basically just mutate onto a creature. Reach, trample, whenever this creature mutates, destroy target artifact or enchantment opponent controls. Yeah, so you can just keep mutating different kinds of creatures that also this copies and just gets onto those other ones because they're going to be Ivies as well. This as well, kind of like Renicus Valdification, get around that legendary thing as well. You just mutate on top of Ivy, and then you can copy Ivy because now Ivy is not legendary. It's now just Gemrazor, but with Ivy's text too. So absolutely crazy. Again, this is the kind of commander that just snowballs and gets so out of control. It might not seem like much, but it is absolutely crazy. A low to ground commander like this one that has so many avenues to victory. Look out for Ivy. Definitely a commander that is a kill on sight commander. Moving on, we've got Trazyn the Infinite. Yeah, it's in the name. Infinite right there. That just warns you right then and there that this commander has a lot of infinite potential. You pretty much don't have to do anything with this commander. You can just set up not even your board. You're not setting up your board to win. You're setting up your graveyard because it is a 4/6 Necron Death Touch. As long as it's on the battlefield, it has all activities of all artifacts in your graveyard. Fill your graveyard with artifacts, especially certain artifacts that combo together, and guess what? You win. That's all you need to do. You do that, you get this into play, and of course, there's plenty of ways to like entomb things. You have plenty of ways to actually get things in your graveyard in mono black. You can obviously tutor for them, get them right in your graveyard. You can mill, lots of ways to do it. Very simple combinations can win you the game. You have so many combinations, your opponents need ways to get rid of your graveyard, or they are done. And yeah, giving haste to this is definitely a good thing. So yeah, Lightning Greaves, Swivel Boots, other artifacts that can work really well with that. Yeah, can be absolutely gross. Here we go. Ready? Staff of Domination. Now your commander has all these activated abilities. First up, pay 1, untap it. Pay 2, tap, gain 1 life. Pay 3, tap, untap target creature. Pay 4, tap, tap target creature. Pay 5, tap, draw a card. Now Trazyn has, most importantly, pay 1, untap it. Because again, the name changes, obviously. So yeah, basically, hey, pay a single mana, untap Trazyn. Well, what works well with that? Something as simple as Soul Ring. Soul Ring is incredibly good with this commander. A great card, obviously. The most popular card in Commander. In your graveyard, now your commander has tap for 2. So, hey, with that and Staff of Domination, all you need is those 2 in your graveyard, this commander in play. And again, it either has haste, or if it doesn't have Summoning Sickness anymore, tap, infinite mana. As you tap, you pay 1 into it. You untap Trazyn, you tap, you pay 1. Tap, you pay 1. Infinite mana, of course, again, thanks to Staff of Domination. Infinite life, infinite untapping of any creatures you want, infinite tapping of all creatures that you want. Infinite drawing of cards. So draw your entire library. Draw whatever you need to win from there. Plenty of ways to win from there. I mean, also just other weird combinations too, like Magistrate Scepter. Incredibly good this commander. 4, tap, put a charge counter on it. Now that's going to be a bit too slow for us. There's plenty of other ways to get more charge counters on more quickly. So we utilize those because then we can do tap, remove 3 charge counters from it, take an extra turn for this one. So basically, again, with Trazyn, all you need to do is get charge counters on it, keep getting more and more charge counters on it. And again, there's plenty of ways to do that when you have things in your, graveyard that have activation abilities that actually get that. And then you just tap, extra turn. Cool. Infinite turns, very easy with this as well. There are so many avenues to victory with this commander. And again, this commander is the one that you don't have to worry about like the board and what's set up on the board. You need to worry about what's in the graveyard, and also, can this commander get haste essentially, or do I have a way to get rid of this commander? If not, I am gone. So yeah, definitely a kill on sight commander. Next up, we've got such a gross commander with Marneus Calgar. Yeah, definitely kill on sight. Here we go. 3/5, Astartes Warrior, double strike. 4/2, an Esper. Whenever one of our tokens enter the battlefield under control, draw a card. My goodness, no limitations on this. I mean, there is a limitation that says 1 or more, but it's not like only once each turn, only on your turn. Oh, gross. So many ways to do crazy things with this. Also, on top of that, pay 6, create 2 tokens. This did not need that. Why did this need that? It doesn't need that, but because they added that, well, you can do some even crazier things. Even without that, this is a crazy good commander. I mean, hey, even just like Smothering Tithe. I mean, just like Smothering Tithe, an incredibly good card. Whenever opponent draws a card, they can pay 2. If they don't, you get a treasure. Now, on top of that treasure, it's gonna be like, hey, you want to pay the 2? Okay, no, all right. I'll get a treasure, and I'll also draw a card thanks to my commander. Oh, you just cast a spell, you drew a card, cool. Again, no, okay, good, okay. Draw a card, treasure. Yeah, it doesn't just count creature tokens, it's any tokens that you're making. So if you've got these kind of repeatable ways to make tokens throughout the game, you can draw an absurd amount of cards. Also, speaking of absurd things, again, Annoying Procession. Hey, let's double that up. Now, that's not going to double your draw, but again, you got all these different ways to make tokens. Great, let's double those up, including the tokens our commander makes. So now we're paying 6 mana for 4 tokens, which is much better. And also on top of that, yeah, you can very easily go infinite with like Ashnod's Altar. Hey, sacrifice those creatures, get more mana than you actually put into that. Again, you're paying 6 to make 4 tokens, sacrifice those for 2 mana apiece, and then yeah, you just net 2 mana, you put 6 more into that, you get more warriors. Yeah, you basically have limited to your library size, but of course there's ways to win from there. When you have no library, again, that's Oracle Lab Maniac, like I mentioned earlier, or again, just you win through drawing all your entire library, basically having infinite colorless mana and be able to cast whatever you need to win. Yeah, plenty of ways to win, plenty of different avenues to victory. Again, even if you're not comboing, this commander is one that needs to be dealt with because the amount of value that that player can get is absurd with this. Why'd they throw double strike on this too? Like, this did not need that, but yeah, absolutely crazy. All the things they threw on this one, definitely a kill on sight commander. And the final kill on sight commander I'm going to be bringing up in this episode is Magnus the Red, a 4/5 demon Primarch with flying that costs 5 in Izzet. Instant sorcery spells you cast cost 1 to cast for each creature you control, creature token you control, and whenever it deals combat to a player, you get a 3/3 red spawn creature token. Anytime you've got a commander that can just give you cost reduction and not limited cost reduction, yeah, that's going to be incredibly powerful and very broken. This, it just says, hey, you know what? Make a bunch of creature tokens and then cast spells for not free, maybe free, but basically free. And of course, there are so many ways to make creature tokens in this color combination. I mean, a very simple one, Young Pyromancer, low to the ground. I mean, yeah, Tolerant, all those other ones too, but yeah, low to the ground Young Pyromancer. Whenever you cast in sorcery spell, you get a 1/1. Now, every single time you cast an instant sorcery, which probably already has cost reduced, you are going to be getting an extra 1/1 creature token, which then reduces the cost of future spells. So again, with like X spells, you can just cast them for even cheaper, even easier, for more mana. And yeah, if you've got more and more of these in play, just the more gross this becomes. Next up, yeah, how about an X spell like Temple of Vengeance? This is basically just, hey, let's put a lot into that X, and let's reduce all of our future spells by that amount. You're going to put X 1/1 on a bunch of creature tokens with haste on the battlefield. Each opponent does the exact same thing if they want to, and then if they do, you get that many more. They're not going to. They better not. If they do, they're in trouble, and they probably just lose, because, hey, if you put 10 into that, which is very easy for you to do, get this cost reduction, cool, you got 10 creature tokens, which this adds to your amount, reducing the cost of all your future in sorceries by 10 more. Of course, if you got ways to get this back out of your graveyard, recast it, you just basically double that up too. If you got ways to copy it, you're doubling that up as well. There's so many ways to get extra value out of all of this. Absolutely gross, absolutely crazy. And that's not even considering just that you have a massive army now, okay? That doesn't really matter. You're just probably going to fireball someone out, right? Because that's all you need to do is just get an absurd amount of creatures into play, creature tokens into play, and then just cast giant X spells. There's plenty of different ways to win from there. Giant draw X spells where you can just draw deep down into your deck, get the exact cards that you need to win. I mean, hey, you want to probably go infinite with this commander as well. You could just get like Stormkill and Artist in play. That'd probably help too. It has, whenever you cast instant or sorcery spell, create a treasure token, caster copy. So hey, again, you're reducing the generic cost. Now you're also not reducing, but getting your mana back essentially from that pip. So yeah, you get that treasure token, and maybe you got Burgi in play to give you more mana as well when you're doing this. Cast spell after spell after spell, chain it essentially. Basically, probably go infinite in some ways, but you don't really even need to. Again, you probably just have enough creature tokens to play, like 50 or so, where you're reducing the cost so much, where you're like, yeah, okay, I'll just cast Blue Sun Zenith for whatever I need to draw my entire library. Yeah, I cast these spells, fireball you, fireball you, fireball, you're gone. Okay, cool. Yeah, anytime you've got a commander, again, that can unlimited reduce the cost of spells, you are going to have a problem on your hands if you're playing against that commander. Yes, there's a restriction for this one, but still, if you let this player get going with Magnus the Red, you are going to be gone. So in my opinion, definitely a kill on sight commander. So yeah, again, those are some of my picks for the kill on sight commanders that we've seen ever since I think Warhammer was the oldest one. Was it Warhammer? Maybe there was one that was past that, but yeah, around Warhammer, Dominator United, those kinds of sets, and you know, the precons as well. So ever since then, those are the commanders that I have been seeing as the kill on sight commanders. Yeah, there's definitely some other really powerful ones since then too. So yeah, let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on these. What other kill on sight commanders should I have brought up on this episode? And of course, as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG Player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.